Welcome to Masters of Luxury. A first-generation real estate developer, Boman Irani is the chairman and managing director of Rustomjee Group, one of the most respected real estate groups in Mumbai. Today, Rustomjee continues to transform the realty landscape of Mumbai with a soundtrack record of sustained growth and innovation with its numerous high-end gated communities, high-rise towers, plotted developments, and large townships. He is also the founder of the Rustomjee Irani Foundation that manages and runs institutes in all spheres of education for more than 12,000 students in Mumbai. A family man, Boman believes in family culture even at work, and as seen through his leadership style at work. Let's hear it from the man himself. Thank you for taking time out for Robb Report India. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
I know people would give an arm and a leg to get here, so thank you. Actually, it's always a pleasure to talk to a magazine of such high quality that speaks to the people that matter of the future. Let's say creative people. I'm very happy to be here.
Rustomjee marks nearly 30 years now in the industry. How do you think the company's philosophy of luxury living really has evolved when it comes to Mumbai's changing skylines?
From the very beginning, right, we've always believed that form follows function. But when it comes to luxury, and luxury at that point of time, 30 years back, was all about space or location or just the view. Over the years, I have seen this step-by-step change, and where the change came from, Indians as a people started traveling more, started appreciating the finer things in life. 30 years back, we used to be a community that, why 30 years back, even as late as 10 years back, used to be a community that saved a lot and kind of spent very little, so everything was like kind of cringed. Today, if you look at the generations that are there today, they're a lot more alive, they're a lot more aware, they're a lot more desirous of getting the best in life. And they understand the difference between value and price. And we as an organization have always been those that have built value into all that we have done. If you go back to the homes that we built 30 years back, right, we created just the right amount of space for everything. At that point of time, let me give you a little story. I wanted to build in Bandra, which is like the high life, and I wanted to build affordable housing, which was in the far out suburbs of Mumbai. But still, we learned something from both ends of this spectrum of the rainbow. From Bandra, we learned what are the amenities that one would need to have a good life. And those days when Maruti had already come in, and Maruti was teaching us how small needn't be non-luxurious, and they were far more luxurious than the ambassadors and Fiats of that time. We learned from Bandra what are the high-end qualities or amenities that one needs and provided them in our home in Daisar. At the same point in time, we were building in Bandra, and we realized that the Bandra consumer was, no matter what you told him, he was not certain about your timelines. But that was a luxury that we created for the Bandra market when we said, hey, listen, this is a 16-story building, we'll build it out in 2.5 years. And we built it. That was a luxury that was unknown to the Bandra buyer, because he always thought, my Bandra buyer came to me and said, it's okay, you're saying 2.5 years, baby, we're fine. But no, you've got to build luxury that can be seen and luxury that cannot be seen but can be experienced. It could be felt, it could just be kind of in terms of a timeline change. So luxury is not any one thing. It is different for different people. I could give you dozens of examples of what luxury is, right? Luxury is privacy without isolation, right? Luxury could be a community without intrusion. So we all need so many different things as we live. But giving that right mix, it's like food, right? You like a particular dish not because it's only well laid out. You like it because it's well laid out. You like it because of the way it's served. You like it because of the temperature at which it's served at. You like it because of the taste, the texture of the food. You like it with the way it kind of cuts in your plate. There are so many things. Now, what do you define? You have to, as a developer, and I say this quite often, right? The automobile industry and the development industry. These are the two where we are constantly touching the lives of our consumers. I'm sure it's across everything, but just to give as an example, you're touching the lives of the people you are serving. And it is up to you. It is your responsibility to consistently get better on all the, I would say, parameters that one needs. You need to provide for everything. As a luxury customer, I look for comfort. I look for convenience, and I look for that curation that is mine, or I look for the flexibility to allow the curation that I need. So it starts with the concept, it starts with the location, it starts with sustainability or what they call basically the natural elements. It starts with the way you introduce the home, and I'm talking more the homes. You introduce the home to the person who's coming in, whether you're a resident yourself or someone coming to meet you or be at your home.
You know, one word that I picked up from everything you said right now was experience, and how luxury is also becoming so much about experiences, experiential luxury. As a real estate developer yourself, what does that really mean in that world?
Everything from the time you are looking at upgrading your life to a Rustomjee home and your experience of our touch points into how we kind of introduce ourselves to you. We are non-intrusive, but we're certain that you will have read about us or you will know about our products. From the time when you kind of give us a call and we respond to it, the way we take care of your schedule and then make sure that our people are never intrusive into your lifestyle or are comfortable with giving you the time that you need with the kind of details that you need to make the choice. So that touch point, the initial touch point, is most important. I'll tell you this, that people forget the price very soon. Quality is remembered forever, and that quality comes in everything, Aindrila. You walk into our offices to buy a home, with the way you're treated, to the very experience when you're being handed your home, to what we do with you after. Just over here, I'd like to state that, we realized some time back that our homes were built beautifully, but when they were handed over to a property management association or agency, because of the fact that somebody had a different view and cost became an issue, people did not maintain our buildings, and that kind of degraded the experience entirely. So we formulated a company called Crest that kind of takes care of all the buildings that we built for 5 years. Reason is very simple. You have to give the best to your consumer. At the same point of time, you have to give the consumer the operational benefits of what you've done. And what we did with Crest, we are also doing with other areas of real estate. So in time to come, you will be able to walk into Rustomjee and have a full service. That is from your booking to your entire financing to your entire maintenance to how your home will look, what products you use. So where the essence or the marrying of the developer's thought process and the consumer will come into play is the way your home will get designed. So all these things are little bits that are very, very important. The experience, I can tell you, your 5 senses have got to feel them all. So you walk into a Rustomjee office or a Rustomjee home, your olfactory senses are also getting kind of entertained. Your visual senses are being treated. Everything that you touch and feel is giving you a sense of luxury and comfort. Isn't that what it means to be luxurious? To have the convenience and the comfort which is curated for you as an experience.
What is your vision when you enter a neighborhood? I know, Rustomjee focuses in Mumbai. You're doing some really exciting projects. I hear in Bandra and Bandstand. Tell me a little bit about the luxury developments that are coming out in the Bombay skyline in the next few years.
So nature, right? You cannot get better than have the best location, for sure. And what is it that appeals to the human mind? Water. So when you have the ocean in front of you, and we're so blessed in this city, we have so many waterfront properties. When you get to a location and you see water, that's such a calming effect, such a luxurious feel. The second most is when you see greens. There's just green spaces all around you, open green spaces where birds are seen, where you can hear the tweet of birds, etc. So before I go to Bandstand, let me tell you what...
Do you still have that in Bombay, like the openness? There's always so much...
You've not visited a Rustomjee home, have you? So let me tell you, Aindrila, what we did with Elements, for instance, right? We had this entire green space in front of us. So we maximized the kind of viewing to that green space. At the same point of time, for those apartments that could not visit the green space because not every apartment can face the greens, we created a terrace that brought the green onto it. And a good part about that was safety, because people of an elderly age could walk around without having potholes, etc. But more importantly, the tweeting of the birds that came with all the greenery that we brought. The green space was brought on the terrace itself. And I think a lot of our buildings are emulating that concept, and we're doing that. Bandstand has the natural advantage of being on the water. And so does Ocean Vista, which is in Warsaw. It's literally on the water. So one is the audio sense, when you're listening to the waves crashing on the rocks, etc. It really is a calming effect. When you have the visual of looking at it, we still have to do something about the olfactory because the ocean does have a little bit of a. But I believe as a city, we Mumbaikars are lucky that our government is working on creating 9 STPs, which means that everything that we've done over the past 60, 70 years, we'll stop doing immediately, and there'll only be clean water flowing into the ocean. So it will even make the visual and the experience better. So location has got to be convenient. Ingress, egress has got to be very well taken care of. Preferably, it's got to have a great view. It has to be a good neighborhood, right? You want, as a person who is looking for luxury, is also looking at safety and security. And what does that mean? Similar-minded people, or people with culture, or people with a particular lineage or heritage live in close proximity. It's got to be convenient for even those who are coming in and out to visit you. So the western coast of Mumbai is actually very blessed right now thanks to the coastal road that is coming up. So we've seen the good effects of the coastal road, which is between Bandra and the city. I can do it in 15 minutes now, which was earlier about a 45-minute trudge. If at all the traffic was bad, then it was an hour. And I imagine the same thing going to Warsaw, going to Kandivli, going all the way. But there's the ocean right there. That kind of gives it the edge. You should also know that there are lots of green spaces in Mumbai. Balmoral that we're doing, which is on the golf course. You cannot get a better view. I mean, that's a 100-year-old golf course. So you've got heritage, you've got greens, you've got, everything taken care of in that area. And then when you have an apartment looking at that, the serenity. It's Chembur. The serenity of looking at a green space, which is not like a playground where, people are screaming and shouting. It's golf, where you go to unwind and you just kind of, golf is the only game you're playing against yourself. Really, there's nobody else you're playing against. So it's a mind space in a way where you're entering to kind of get that peace. And imagine having a home right there. So we choose locations that will have an inherent advantage and then enhance that manyfold. So again, the way we've designed Bandstand and the way we have designed Ocean Vista, the way we've designed Balmoral, all of these give you the maximum advantage of the space or of the nature that is, as right there in that area, and only enhance your experience from there.
So, Boman, if I were to ask you that before picking up a specific project, what are the key criteria that Rustomjee looks at? So these are my top 5 checklists that I would look at before signing off this project. What would they be?
Will we add value in this location? Is my consumer that I am looking at serving going to be benefited by my entering this location? So that's the first thing that we look at. The second thing we look at is obviously the neighborhood. We do not want the best view but a horrible neighborhood, right? You just don't want to be there for whatever reason. I'm not saying there are horrible neighborhoods, but you want to make sure that the neighborhood is as enhanced or as beautiful as it can be. The third thing obviously is to look at is, given Mumbai being what it is, whether the skyline will be benefited by it, meaning that do I have the height to build, or is it restricted because of certain norms of the road width or of the airport vicinity or being in the vicinity, etc. Right? You look for serene spaces where you can come back home and when we go back home, what do we need? We need peace. We need the quiet. So it's got to provide the quiet. I could, when I look at a location, say it doesn't matter how noisy it is, it's just in the design or in the materials used. But having a space that is quiet by itself adds a lot more to it. And finally, of course, is the convenience, the ingress, egress that is possible when you are in a particular location. You don't want to be kind of in the boondocks where everything is beautiful, but hey, how do I get there? And given that waterways are still being worked on in this city, which should have been done 50 years back, according to me, but waterways are being worked on and newer marinas are being spoken of being built. The future will lie in those spaces which can be even reached by water, because that's just a totally different luxurious field. We're taking positions in places which have the future benefit of this possibility as well. I've let go a secret.
So, you talk about the future. There's this whole, we see this booming demand and sort of requirement of villas, from these apartments to moving into villas. What's your take on that? What do you think is the future of luxury home buying, say, in the next decade?
I want to say this, everybody wants a piece of the sky. That means if you can get a balcony which is double height or triple height or just looks at the sky, everybody wants to own a piece of the sky. And what they definitely want to own is a piece of the earth, right? There is no greater pleasure that you could give your family other than actually being able to step out of a home and literally touch Mother Earth with your bare feet. And they've given you dozens of, you open up Instagram and try to look up, they give you so many hundreds of examples of why it is great to live closer to the earth. Now, it's not possible in the city, so what do? You explore what is the next best terrain to do this. I would say Alibag is great, I would say Matheran is great, I would say Karjat is great, I would say Kasara is great. Wherever the weather is different from Mumbai, so that's why I kind of rate Matheran, Kasara, Karjat a little better than even Alibag, because Alibag has the same weather that we have in Mumbai, would allow you to kind of experience a home on the ground itself. And now you can, earlier the only thing that you could create luxury with with a home, with a house on the ground is by creating just large spaces around it. That concept can be beautifully tweaked if I could create exclusive, beautiful looking villas, which could be smaller. It could be 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. See, the concept never goes away from Mumbaikar's mind. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, where the wasted spaces are actually taken out and taken to the open spaces where there's a lot of walkability. At the same point of time, to the clubhouse or the gym or the recreation center that gets created out there, where you could have a very largish pool. So you have a pool, which is a little kind of dive pool in your own home. You have a little lawn space, which is like your walkout space and, experiencing it. But then a larger part of it is all concentrated into one area, which is cyclable or walkable. So you create that so that it becomes the nucleus of the entire thing and everybody can walk to it. The future, people have purchased, Indians as a category, we've always purchased one home and been very, very happy. But given the change in the wealth profile of our people, given the improved economic standpoint from where we are today, you will find second homes today, second homes becoming first homes of the future. And a live example exists in Mumbai. Do you know where?
Tell me.
Take a guess. Juhu. Juhu was built as a second home. So that's why you had 500 square yards or 600 square yards, individual bungalows, nice roads laid out, gardens concentrated in one place. And of course, development and the surge of development, it being one of the most beautiful areas, was then kind of built upon. And today you see 6- and 7-story or even more buildings out there. But the concept was then that you have a villa or a home on the ground. So we as humans have always wanted a piece of the sky and definitely a lot of the earth. And this is what will be there in the future.
What does Rustomjee plan? What are the plans for Rustomjee in that segment?
We at Rustomjee for a very long time stayed in what is called the spectrum that we knew. So we did everything from affordable to what's called aspirational to luxury over the last 10 years, and uber luxury, which is the last 7-8 years, and some of our projects stand to show that. We have now looking at going into other areas, that is plotted developments to start off with, go into villas in the next phase of it, and from there we'll even go into farmhouses, because farmhouses is slightly larger, and the locations that we pick will be those that are convenient to get to from Mumbai, and will be landscapes that have natural beauty, mountainous region, overlooking a water body in terms of a lake, just overlooking a great forest area, somewhere where you can go for a different experience over the weekend, unwind out there. And given the way the MMR is growing, I see in time to come, all these locations that we are talking about might become, for a realistic part of your life, a first home from where you'll go to work. So Karjat, for instance, where we are there and we are opening up plotted or rather the second home's development, I think in about 12 to 15 years it'll become your first home. You'll have enough connectivity into any part of the city, and you'll be able to come and go. Palghar might be a great area with the Vadhavan port coming right there. Forget as only economic advantage. You can even look at Palghar as a beautiful place to live in, because but the weather is more or less the same as Mumbai, right? You need to decide where you want to go, and we at Rustomjee are always very cognizant of this. And like I told you, the automobile business and the real estate business, we touch the lives of the people that we serve, and we kind of define the lives of the people we serve. So over there, we always take a mindset that allows us to kind of curate your future home and build you up for it. And we've been fortunate in the last, ever since COVID came along, YOLO became the call for most people. I say this with full knowledge of what our markets were. Earlier, you bought a home, Aindrila, and you kind of fit your whole family in it. Today, people are actually spending, or rather creating value for their families by buying a home fit for their families. So there's a remarkable change in the mindset. And trust me, this has not just been led by one single aspect, but it's this constant change that's been taking place. Your economic conditions have improved. You've gotten used to seeing things internationally and wanting the same. And why not? We deserve the best, in terms of the life that we can have.
There's obviously this whole mushrooming, I think a little limited in the West maybe and the South, but North is booming with this whole branded residencies culture, where you collaborate, of course, with international fashion brands, designers, etc. What's your personal take on that?
Authenticity. To give you an example, I think it would be easier to tell a consumer that you would have a home that is branded residence by a hotel, because then the perceived benefits that come with it are, housekeeping is taken care of, there's a concierge down there, you will have all the facilities that one can get in a hotel, but have the luxury of a home yourself. As a brand ourselves, we're building all of that at our back end. So today, Rustomjee with Crest can take care of every housekeeping arrangement that you could have thought of in a hotel. So we're just taking a slightly different route. Ornamentally branding something and calling it, look, I can just say that I'm a student for life. I will learn how that plays out. But in the short term, having a Mercedes branded home or a watchmaker branded home or even a fashion branded home, I don't know what value it brings. Because beyond the car, what is it that you're going to do to my home, right? Now, service that you can provide as a brand and add value to my consumer or my life, I understand. The rest, I'm a student. I will learn. I will speak about them in the future. But as of right now, they're doing extremely well. So good luck to them.
Through our conversation, but if you had to identify, for a home buyer, or what a home buyer was looking for, say 20 years ago, to what they've been looking for, say in the last 3 years, what are the key differences?
So first, let me tell you what has stayed. Trust has been the one thing that every consumer wants from what is probably their most life's expensive purchase, right? So trust is something that is there. And trust doesn't mean only in terms of time of completion. It means the overall package. What does that brand stand for? What am I buying? And am I getting that at the end of the day? Plenty of experiences can be shared with you. A Rustomjee home purchaser is looking for, or is coming and putting his hard-earned money with us only because he's certain or she is certain that they will get a home of a particular value or a particular design, or there won't be kind of root shocks coming in. What it meant many, many years back, I can tell you the buyer's mindset has changed many, many years back. Like I told you, you bought a house and fit a family in it. You were just happy with the four walls. We came from a time of shortages, if I may say that, right? And today we are in the times where there is so much of a plenty. One has to change the mindset. You've got to become desirable now. At that point of time, you were just reliable enough to be kind of, give you what the consumer wanted. Today, I've got to be desirable as a developer. People have got to want to come to me. The buyer has changed. And I can tell you the reasons for this change is largely the internet as well. This generation is well-traveled. I'm talking Mumbai, I'm talking MMR. This generation is well-traveled. Even if you're not someone who travels for vacations, you're definitely traveling for some kind of work. You don't even need to travel. Earlier, movies were the only source of your knowing what's happening worldwide. Today, with everything that you have on digital media, I can just go and, Pinterest would give me the best designs available and show me luxurious, I would not say touch and feel, but view at least that is possible. So the consumer has changed to that. They want the best. They're ready to kind of sacrifice price over value. They understand what true value means and they're ready to pay for it. All they want after that is the brand promise continues. So that is where the mindset change has happened. And like I told you, the automobile, right? Let me give you an example. 20 years back when you had a car, you had a winder for your windows, and you had, when you had to move a seat, if at all you could move the seat, there was just an adjustment by spring. Today you have electronics doing all of that. Just to give you another example, and this is going to happen in our industry, and you can take it to the bank. The auto world earlier, the price of a good high-end automobile was about 20% for electronics, etc., and 80% was actually structured. Do you know what that is today? We're talking 65% being all the rest of the convenience that one gives, and only 35% is the cost of the automobile. I could be wrong by 3 or 5% here and there, depending on which vehicle you're in, but if you're in a luxury vehicle, that's it. Similarly, homes have today got to be tech ready. You've got to make sure that they are built in a way that are flexible. I do not want to place my bedroom exactly the way you've placed it. I want to have the flexibility of doing it. So that means an integrated design from ground up. Form still follows function. You have to build a form now and imagine the functions it can be put through, and give the flexibility to my purchaser to be able to design his home according to what his lifestyle is, instead of forcing him to take your lifestyle. You can create a lifestyle for your consumer. Your luxury consumer, for instance, I can create a lifestyle, but there is still that little bit that they want for their individuality, their own signature. And you've got to, as a developer, allow for that. What I mean is, give the best and still leave room for more. Be tech ready to support that entire thing.
Where do you think AI will fit into the future of real
We
estate?
were the last hit by technology, if you really go to see, right? Everything else became a lot more convenient, faster. Real estate has been a laggard, but trust me, it's catching up. Today, it's catching up largely on the build side, on the design side, on the creation side. On the living side, I think most of the homes of the future will come to enable you to live a life that is a lot more convenient, equals to luxury, comfortable equals to luxury, make things happen faster equals to luxury. I don't know the exact impact of it, and I don't think anybody does. But I can tell you this, we at Rustomjee are constantly looking over our shoulders and looking ahead of the curve to know what exactly happens. And we've got a strategy team that is constantly looking at innovation or practice or just companies doing things on the AI front. And like I told you, today it helps us immensely in our design front. I was privy to a design consult where I could speak and the model could be worked out in under like 5 minutes to kind of give what I wanted. Imagine this 15 years back or even 5 years back. I would give my thought process to an architect and then wait for the architect to work things out. And that changed a little bit with CAD where there was a little bit. But today I'm talking to an AI platform. It's still under development. I'm talking to an AI platform, but it's building exactly what I have in mind and showing me.
So you envision faster turnarounds. That's definitely
You can envision faster turnarounds, but more importantly, you can check a variety of options. Earlier, it was embarrassing to tell an architect over the 20th or 25th time that, listen, I need one more design. Of course, the good ones always gave it to you, and you were relentless in your pursuit. But today, imagine if I could look at 125 designs. You could say I could get confused, or you could say I could just build the best. I think it is how you look at it. How we as a development company treat that technology. How do I make the most of it? How do I kind of make sure that every home gets built with every conceivable high-end amenity? So what that means is degrees of turn of a building in the kind of view that it would afford. You can visualize that in real time before you even decide to kind of dig the earth and lay your first foundation. You're able to kind of tweak your building out. But I said, this is still on the design side. In the future, let's all wait and watch. It's coming faster than we know it.
How are you embedding sustainability into your larger vision for future-ready urban living?
Sustainability is equal to wellness. And wellness has become a very important part of my consumers' desire for the future. What do I mean by that? If you live in a home in Thane and you know that out of the 4,000 or 5,000 homes that are there, the entire waste is not more than 5 kgs a day, you're feeling good. And you want to add, as a responsible citizen, you want to add more value to what you do. And you're in some way or the other getting involved. Let me tell you what we do with our communities, and you'll enjoy this part. Wherever we create green spaces, we do not only plant beautiful looking trees, we actually plant fruit-giving trees. And then we include in all our weekend activities for the children where they can actually, touch mud and actually grow saplings. So in Thane, we carried out for our school kids, because we have a school right there, we carried out for our school kids a simple thing. How do you regraft? Take a particular tree and graft it onto another one. And it was what they were learning in school, brought in real life right there, while allowing them this knowledge that they are actually enhancing the environment. So sustainability is again so many things, right?
Paman, as a first generation real estate developer, if I had to ask you, you have a hectic life. You are obviously dealing with multiple roles at the same time on the same day. What is that one aspect of your work that you enjoy the most?
You touched upon a raw nerve. I enjoy design. Okay, but probably there are better designers that we have at Rustomjee, and it kind of gives me the feel that all I can do is learn from them and my time is better spent somewhere else. I believe the humanization of design is so important, and I keep giving people this example. And if you read Steve Jobs, he says the most beautiful things in life are absolutely simple, and the toughest things to do in life are to make it simple, right? And that is exactly where I think, while the architecture teams that we have, the building teams that we have are a lot more educated than I in their own fields and are able to kind of do a lot more, I think they value my humanization of it, because at all points of time, I'm looking at the livability of people. I'm not saying my people don't do that. I think I'm a keener student on that. So my design interactions have reduced, but at the same point of time, I would say they're like the essence that goes in the food. They're very, very important. And I do spend a lot of time on that. Other than that, what is most important for us as a trade is obviously getting all your approvals in time and making sure the approvals are exactly what you need and not what, communicating with the authorities. And I must say full credit to them. They're a lot more, they're a lot better to interact with right now, because they're open to the idea that, there are things out there that they can kind of imbibe to make the city better. And fortunately for me, I have been part of CREDI for a very long time. And this has given me access to the ears that need to listen to things. And I've been fortunate again by the fact that we have worked largely in the interest of the development fraternity, or the development of cities and spaces thereabout. So even today, when I see something very interesting, you see me shooting off a WhatsApp or an email to all the authorities that I have a direct connect with. And the next time I kind of meet up with them, there's a little bit of an interaction out there. So there's a lot of learning that happens. I think cities have gone from just livable to actually lovable now. And if you do not enhance your city to becoming lovable, you'll be failing in your duty as a developer. And small things matter the most. Intelligent design can come in from all quarters. I know recently I shared how Singapore is tackling its open air playgrounds by a picture to 3 of the top ULBs that I'm working with, urban local bodies. And it's been heartwarming how all of them reacted by saying, so intelligent, maybe we need to do the same. So it's a paradigm shift. It'll require a change in certain rules. But the fact that the person sitting in that position is willing to say that, yes, this is something I should do, because it will make livability turn to lovability and create more playing spaces. We do not have too many open spaces, but you can create them even if you make a building. And that is exactly what that picture was all about. We should have the authorities visit all these, I would say, well-developed cities that are maybe ahead of us, miles ahead of us, and go there. And let me give you a small anecdotal example. When Singapore was formed, you do know that in 1970 or 74 or whenever, when Lee Kuan Yew came to Calcutta, in his speech, he mentioned, someday Singapore will be as good as Calcutta. Now imagine how far ahead they have gone. So it's time for us to go back and bring the clock back to the time it was, and make our cities as good or even better than those cities, because we have all the environmental, financial, commercial, all advantages available.
You spoke about design and how that has a soft corner for you. Tell me about, and of course, like, you travel so much. What are your when I say design inspiration, what would they be? Where would they be? What are some of the most design forward experiences you had?
So you won't believe it, but one should keep an eye out for nature. Ask any architect, and the first thing that they will tell you is, we're always learning from nature. So what is the first thing that I look at is, how do I make your home environment your space, your safety net, your go-to for comfort space, right? And I'm looking at nature all the time for that. Whether it be the weaver birds that kind of build a home where they create a false entry and then have their kids somewhere else, or how the entry exits of caves are around the world, which is a maybe 2,000, 3,000 year old, to the cathedrals and the castles that one sees in Europe, because you're seeing grandeur in terms of size and scale, in terms of the entire frescoes that have been painted, in terms of the stained glass that just give you that aura of humility. And when you walk into those larger spaces, you're humbled as a human being, right? You go to most of our Indian temples and they have been designed to give you the best acoustics ever. They've got, I would say, stonework in them that is far beyond anything that we can do with our modern machines. So there is a inspiration that was built into every karigar out there to kind of create. So a faith that allowed him to create, or her to create, something far beyond what would have been normally created by human beings, right? You have to look at all of these things and try to bring in the essence of all of these into your home. If you ask me where I get most inspired, it is when I travel. I am looking at everything, the hotels that I stay in, to the places that I'm going to in terms of historical importance, to just the way a city treats its roadways, to its waterways, to its air transportation. It is so possible for us to actually allow for what they call as transportation from terrace to terrace, thereby reducing the load on the roads itself, for at least those that can afford it. It is so possible for us to integrate metros and monorails into our buildings, and they're doing this extremely well in Hong Kong, in Singapore, at least wherever I've seen, and now they've started the practice out here. They want to integrate the metros along with commercial buildings right next to it. All these are things that are waiting to happen, and one needs to keep a inquisitive mind. Einstein says, I'm not intelligent, but I'm very inquisitive. And you've got to keep an inquisitive mind wherever you go. You've got to see why what was done was done. History can teach you, nature can teach you, modern day technology can teach you. It's just how ready are you to learn?
Do you have any plans of taking Rustomjee outside of Maharashtra, Mumbai, MMR? Is there anything on the anvil?
So as we grow towards an urbanized India, we're talking of about 60% of our population moving to urban centers. And I know that a lot of urban centers will get created other than the 5 or 7 or 10 that we know right now. But in the short run, I can tell you this, MMR is blessed. It's a market that is deep and it is wide. And as you know, MMR is now improving its size itself. Earlier, MMR ended at Virar. Today, we're talking of Palghar being part of MMR. MMR ended at, I think, Thane, but now we're going beyond that. And who knows what happens with the transportation systems. I believe real estate is largely a local play. If I know the food you like, if I know your lifestyle, if I know your habits, if I know how you live, is far better than me trying to go and decipher or learn or just read from. All my knowledge would be the same as everybody else. I do not have a strong advantage. In Mumbai and MMR, I come from this soil. I understand people who live here. I understand their diet. I understand their lifestyle. I understand their problems. I understand what they're looking at. Inherently, it just comes to me. It's like a language that you learn versus a language that you know is your mother tongue. You're just a lot more easier flowing with it. And as a number, we are 40% by value of all the residential real estate sales of the country. 40%. Why would I want to go somewhere else? Having said that, will I go? We're always keeping our eyes open for markets that we believe are the future, but we still haven't made any kind of sizable foray outside. I'll tell you, Nagpur, to my mind, when I visited there in Jan last year, I saw the kind of infrastructure laid out. It's a city getting ready to welcome development. So made a small play out there. Pune has got volume. So, Rustomjee has got a 10,000 crore pre-sales target by 2030. We're about 4,000 crores right now. And this is a roadmap that we've created. It'll come out of, being able to be in multiple cities and creating some kind of velocity and scale in those cities. So Pune is something that I always find very interesting. And again, understand, both these are still in Maharashtra. I understand the Maharashtrian mindset, I understand the Gujarati mindset, I understand the Marwadi mindset, I understand the Christian mindset, but the Christian mindset, the Gujarati mindset, the Marwadi mindset of the people living out here. So I will focus on these closer by markets, and I know Nagpur is going to grow. I know Pune has constantly spread itself out. Mumbai MMR is spreading itself out. I'll go to a Palghar, I'll go to a Karjat. I will be there. As Rustomjee, we want to be in the markets where I said, can I add value out here? But having said that, today as Rustomjee, we will only go to where we have a business model in place, right? There's a market in every segment, right? But is that for us? Is what I've got to see. If that market in that segment is for Rustomjee, we will go there happily. We'll definitely add our own value to it. We'll enhance that market and we'll benefit from it. But if not, there's plenty to do out here. And I can tell you what all it is. So far, we've been about residential, commercial development. We've done some social commercial in terms of hospitals and schools. Look at what all is opening up. Second homes is opened up. We're already out there. Student housing is opening up. We're going there. Senior living is something that, we are definitely looking at making a foray in. I can tell you FY27, FY26 was my target. I think I failed, but that's fine. FY27, we will make a foray into senior living in a big way. And we believe that this market, MMR, will provide for, I would say, 5,000 plus homes in the senior living category. And hopefully we'll do it slightly differently than what everybody else does. Because again, our ears are close to the ground. We understand, we've been talking. I personally, it's a pet project for us. And we've been talking to a lot of people who are now in their advancing years. I'm 57, at 65, where do I want to be? Do I want to traverse to Lonavala and just sit down and fan myself all day? Or do I want to be an active individual and still have, the freedom of working when I wanted to and, going to the same haunts, same restaurants, same people that I've hung out with and still be in a community that took care of me. So the mindset change that we are having is Rustomjee will be a in-city senior living kind of organization.
Very, very big senior living.
See, you like the idea, right? I know I'm going to work till I'm 80 if I'm alive and God keeps me in good health. I'm going to live till I'm 80, and if I'm going to live till I'm 80, I'm going to work till I'm 80. So I still need to pace myself, right? I need to have the right paraphernalia around me.
And you don't want to depend on your children. That's
exactly. While they will love you, because of the culture that we as Indians have, while they will love you, as a parent, we would not want to kind of restrict their flight because of us, right? And we are the generation that has taken care of our parents and now do not want our children to take care of us. We're independent, and that's great, right? Who knows where we go from here? But today, in this time, we definitely need to be taken care of in terms of our health. Someone needs to come and monitor my blood pressure, my sugar, someone needs to give me the convenience of having healthy food in spite of not wanting to cook it myself. Someone needs to be at my wavelength, and I don't need to listen to the music of this generation, but listen to the music of my generation and enjoy it with people, like-minded people. It will work. And, I keep telling our team, if we fail, let us be glorious in our failure. Let's not have mediocre success.
My last question to you, what does luxury mean to you today, Boman?
I said so much, but if I was to coin it, I will go back to the phrase I told you earlier. It's privacy without being secluded or isolated. I want my privacy, but I don't want to be isolated. I want my community, but I want no intrusion. I want to be able to reach out to the world I need when I want to. But when I want to kind of go back into my own little cocoon or my own little mind space, I want to be able to kind of do that. I want to have the quiet, yet the huzz-buzz. I want to have the convenience, yet be, in a place where I don't get compromised. I want to be happy to enjoy the surpluses that life can afford me. At the same point in time, I want it to be sustainably got to me. I want to have the peace, yet I want to be part of the noise when I want to be. If I were to coin luxury, I would say it is to be able to have the ability to do what I want when I want. The luxury that comes out of not being governed by a watch, or just have my space to do what I want when I want, and still have everything within arm's reach, if I may say that, so that when I want to live that part of it, I just can do it.